Africa, a land of promise, power, and more riches than any other continent in the world. In 2025, democracy still wears a mask. Behind it, rulers cling to power, rewriting laws, silencing critics, and calling it progress. These are the top 10 African presidents who rule like dictators in 2025. Number 10. Azali Assoumani, Comoros. He first seized power in a military coup in 1999, promising stability to the small island nation of Comoros. Since then, he staged comebacks through the ballot box, or by rewriting the constitution to fit his ambitions. Changed the constitution in 2018 to reset term limits. Jailed opponents and banned protests. Used the army to silence journalists. Assoumani has now ruled for over 15 years in total, transforming Comoros into a state where power changes hands, but only between him and his generals.
Comoros Vice President Mohamed Ali Soilihi, also known as Mamadou, the ruling party's presidential candidate, on Saturday contested the vote results which gave victory to former coup leader Azali Assoumani. Colonel Assoumani won by 40.98% of Sunday's votes, narrowly ahead of Mamadou with 39.87%.
Number 9. Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, Egypt. Egypt's strongman rose to power through a military coup in 2013, ousting the country's first democratically elected president, Mohamed Morsi. Sisi claimed he was saving Egypt from chaos, but instead, he built one of the most repressive states in modern history. Extended presidential terms from 4 to 6 years. Plans to stay in power until at least 2030. Over 60,000 political prisoners fill Egyptian jails. Independent media and dissent are virtually extinct. In Sisi's Egypt, stability means silence, and silence is enforced at gunpoint.
Tactics employed, it is claimed, in the name of stability and the will of the Egyptian people. Thus, this army general, who has never fought in combat, justifies the actions of his troops. Are his speeches coloured with the tone of a man who would serve the greater good of the Egyptian people from the heart?
Number 8. Faure Gnassingbé, Togo. When his father, Gnassingbé Ayadema, died in 2005 after ruling for 38 years, the military immediately installed his son as president. The dynasty never ended, it just changed faces. Won every election since 2005 amid fraud allegations. Suppresses protests with lethal force. Controls parliament through his ruling party. Now in power for 20 years, Faure Gnassingbé has turned Togo into a family business, where democracy exists only on paper.
Togo's leader, Faure Gnassingbé, now has a newly created title. He's transitioned from president to president of the Council of Ministers, a position that gives him chief executive powers and allows parliament to re-elect him to unlimited 6-year terms.
Number 7. Denis Sassou, Republic of Congo. Sassou first took power in 1979, lost it for a few years in the 1990s, then fought a civil war in 1997 to reclaim his throne and never let go again. He removed term limits in 2015. Disputedly won the 2021 election with 89% of the vote. Opposition leaders mysteriously disappear or die. With nearly 40 years in power, Sassou runs Congo like a monarch, one whose crown is made of fear and oil money.
Now, according to state television, the Republic of Congo President Denis Sassou Nguesso has been re-elected, extending his 36 years in power. This vote marred by concerns over transparency, with some candidates boycotting the polls or being jailed.
Number 6. Isaias Afwerki, Eritrea. He was once hailed a liberator, leading Eritrea to independence from Ethiopia in 1993. But Afwerki never let go of power. No elections in 32 years. No parliament or constitution in effect. Enforces indefinite military service, often called modern slavery. Afwerki has ruled Eritrea since 1993, turning the dream of freedom into a nightmare of control. Eritrea is now known as the North Korea of Africa, and he's its eternal leader.
Were elections scheduled for 2001, they didn't take place. When is that going to happen?
What elections?
Elections in Eritrea.
And we will wait for about 3-4 decades until we see genuine natural situations emerge in Eritrea.
You're saying Eritrea is going to wait 3 or 4 decades before it holds elections?
Maybe more, who knows?
Number 5. Teodoro Obiang Mbasogo, Equatorial Guinea. The longest-serving president in the world, in power since 1979, after overthrowing his uncle in a bloody coup. Wins elections with 95–99% of the vote. His family controls the nation's oil wealth. Human rights abuses, torture, and corruption are rampant. His son, Teodoro Obiang already serves as vice president, preparing to inherit a dictatorship built on oil and fear. Obiang has ruled for 46 years, proving that in Equatorial Guinea, power is a family heirloom.
The Electoral Commission said Obiang had won with 94.9% of the vote. The results of the general election solemnly proclaim His Excellency Obiang Nguema, President of the Republic of Equatorial Guinea, for a term of 7 years.
Number 4. Paul Biya, Cameroons. Biya became president in 1982, before most of his citizens were even born. Amended the constitution in 2008 to remove term limits. Frequently governs from abroad in Swiss hotels. Uses the army to crush protests, especially in the Anglophone regions. After 43 years in power, Biya has outlived coups, protests, and generations of critics. Cameroon's future remains trapped under his firm grip. Number 3. Paul Kagame, Rwanda. Once the hero who ended the 1994 genocide, Kagame rebuilt Rwanda into one of Africa's most efficient and most controlled states. Changed the constitution in 2015 to stay until 2034. Wins elections with 98–99% of the vote. Silences or exiles all major opposition. He's been in power for 30 years, ruling through fear disguised as progress. Rwanda's streets are clean, but its freedom is missing.
He was the savior of Rwanda.
Every one of the elections that he ran, those who opposed him went to prison. And their supporters have been arrested, tortured, many of them killed.
Number 2. Yoweri Museveni, Uganda. He came to power in 1986 after a guerrilla war, promising democracy and reform. Nearly 4 decades later, Museveni is still here, and Uganda's democracy is long gone. Abolished term limits 2005 and age limits 2017. Arrested and tortured opposition figures like Bobi Wine. Appointed his son as army commander, paving the way for succession. After 39 years in power, Museveni runs Uganda like a personal kingdom, guarded by soldiers and fed by propaganda.
Of Yoweri Museveni, Uganda's ruthless dictator. For nearly 4 decades, Uganda has been under the iron grip of one man, Yoweri Museveni. Once seen as a liberator, Museveni has transformed into one of Africa's longest-serving dictators, using fear, repression, and corruption to cling to power.
Bonus mention: Samia Suluhu Hassan, Tanzania. Once praised for her calm leadership after Magufuli's death in 2021, Samia Suluhu has now shown a darker side. In the October 2025 election, she claimed 97% of the vote after silencing opposition parties and cutting internet access. Arrested critics and journalists. Banned opposition rallies. Ignored regional observers who questioned the vote's credibility. Her story is a warning. Sometimes soft words hide an iron fist.
Tundu Lissu, the most visible challenger, was sidelined through legal battles. I mean, arrests and detention.
There's no defense to political violence. Don't treat this like a normal court process. This is simply the government and its thugs attempting to enforce one-party rule.
Others faced arrests too, or exile.
Number 1. Emmerson Mnangagwa, Zimbabwe. He helped stage the coup that ousted Robert Mugabe in 2017, promising freedom and reform. But 7 years later, Zimbabwe is back in the same swamp, only with a new face at the top. Rigged the 2018 and 2023 elections. Crushed protests with violence and arrests. Journalists abducted, opposition silenced. Now pushing for a third term in 2028. Mnangagwa's rule proves you can remove a dictator, but if the system stays the same, tyranny just changes its name.
But with respect, Mr. President, you were so much part of the old Zimbabwe. Yes. When you were in cabinet, when opposition leaders were being beaten and being tortured. You were part of all that. Why should people believe that you've changed?
I am as soft as wool.
Across Africa, power is supposed to serve the people, not enslave them. Yet these leaders show that when democracy sleeps, dictatorship thrives. Until citizens rise and institutions fight back, freedom will remain just another campaign slogan. This is the truth they don't want you to hear.